Tonight, pressure mounts on the federal government over housing affordability as the Treasurer rules out changes to negative gearing. The chance of another top-end cyclone on the horizon. New limits on commercial barramundi fishing open a rift with recreational anglers. And an Australian out to make Super Bowl history on America's biggest sporting stage. Good evening, Isabella Tolhurst with ABC News. Treasurer Jim Chalmers says the government is not considering changes to negative gearing as pressure mounts on the government to do more to address affordable housing. He says the only tax reform being considered are changes to the Stage 3 cuts. But the Shadow Treasurer insists it could still be on the agenda. Here's political reporter Evelyn Manfield.
Lovely to have you in Ballarat. Very big welcome.
Out of Canberra, but unable to escape questions on tax.
What we're doing is putting in place a tax cut for every Australian worker.
The government continuing to defend its changes to the Stage 3 tax cuts as the coalition...
Angus Taylor, welcome to the program.
...shifts gears.
We won't support changes to negative gearing. That's their intent. We know they're considering this. Their answers in the parliament on this this week were very wishy-washy.
That's not something that we're proposing, not something that we are considering, not something that we are working up.
Negative gearing allows landlords who lose money by paying out more in interest and maintenance than they're receiving in rent to offset that loss and reduce the tax they pay.
Now is the time for reform on negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount because we are in a housing crisis.
It's not just tax, but the right to disconnect that'll continue to be a talking point in Parliament this week. The opposition says if it wins the next election, it'll repeal legislation that passed the Senate just days ago, giving workers the right to ignore calls and emails when they're not on the clock without being penalised. But it's another out-of-hours issue that's stolen the limelight. This video published by the Daily Mail shows Nationals MP Barnaby Joyce after falling off a planter box while on the phone.
It is up to Barnaby Joyce to explain the circumstances around this.
People love to jump to conclusions on these things, and I'm certainly not doing that, and I don't think anyone should.
Mr Joyce says he's very embarrassed. He'll be meeting with his coalition leaders this week. Evelyn Manfield, ABC News, Canberra.
Israeli forces claim to have new evidence linking the main UN aid agency in Gaza with Hamas. Troops have revealed a tunnel network running partly under the agency's headquarters, but the UN says the building has been unstaffed for months. It comes as new details emerge over a missing 6-year-old Palestinian girl whose body has now been found.
Heartbreaking horror in Gaza. The body of a 6-year-old Palestinian girl is found in a bullet-ridden car. Trapped and surrounded by her dead relatives, Hind Rajab pleaded with rescuers in a telephone call for 3 hours to be saved. Two paramedics were sent, but they wouldn't reach her. The Palestinian Red Crescent has accused Israeli forces of killing them. Hind's mother had been waiting for news, holding her notebook where she'd been practicing her handwriting.
For every person who heard my voice, my daughter's pleading voice, yet did not rescue her, I will question them before God on the day of judgment.
The Israeli military says it's discovered tunnels underneath the main headquarters of the UN aid agency UNRWA in Gaza City, saying it's found new evidence Hamas exploits the UN.
This place is one of the Hamas's intelligence units, where they command most of the combat from here, but from the underground.
UNRWA says it left the building on October 12 and denies knowledge of Hamas activity. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has suggested the next phase of his invasion will be in the southern city of Rafah, the so-called safe zone where more than 1 million Palestinians have already fled to. Israel says it's preparing an evacuation plan, but there's virtually nowhere left for these Gazans to go. Also waiting for the news of their loved ones, desperate families of hostages taken by Hamas. They're demanding the Israeli government strike a deal now and quickly to bring them home. Alison Horn, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Northern Territory Police have arrested a man who was naked after an alleged assault at Darwin's airport last night. Police say a taxi driver reported a robbery and assault at the airport around 8 o'clock. Airport security and later police officers pursued the man into nearby bushland, where they found him naked and attempting to climb a fence. He was arrested and charged with robbery and criminal damage. The Territory and federal governments are tipping more than $3 million into health service Danila Dilba in a bid to reduce suicide rates in the NT. The Healing and Recovery Service in Darwin CBD is aimed at improving access to support for families and communities after a suicide attempt or crisis. The service is expected to be offered to non-Indigenous patients at another site in the future. Tensions within the NT's barramundi fishing industry have gone public this week over a new limit placed on commercial operators at 2 popular local rivers. Last year, commercial fishers were locked out of prime coastal waters by traditional owners concerned about bycatch from gill netting. But that practice has been allowed to continue, angering recreational anglers.
As the barramundi season gets underway, commercial operators say there are plenty to go around.
There's no sustainability issues with barramundi stocks. We all know that the stocks are really healthy and we want to keep it that way.
But recreational fishers who are also looking forward to casting a line say their usual spots risk being fished out.
Whilst they say the biomass is really healthy across the whole of the territory, if you get localised heavy fishing pressure, then those stocks in that area will deplete.
Commercial operators, dominated by Western Australia-based wild barra, have been locked out of key top-end coastal waters due to concern over the use of gill nets. Instead, they say they're sailing to the Roper River. With waters in the Daly and Roper open to all, the government has rolled out so-called effort limits for commercial boats based on the maximum rate of activity in past seasons. On the Roper, for example, the effort limit allows commercial barramundi fishers to use the equivalent of up to 10 100-metre nets every day of the 8-month barramundi season. As Queensland moves toward a ban on commercial netting, the regulation of this year's Northern Territory harvest falls mostly on the commercial industry itself, who say they can be trusted to keep barramundi populations healthy.
We're keeping a closer eye than has ever been done before on the fishing that's occurring in those areas and making sure that there's high levels of barramundi there and that we don't go under certain biomass or abundance of the barramundi in those areas.
Recreational fishers are not so confident. They want weight limits enforced at top-end ports.
So they've got that information available so they can quite easily collate all that together and work out what tonnage is coming out from what catchments based seasonally every year.
How to slice up the Territory's iconic catch up for debate. Oliver Chaseling, ABC News.
The Weather Bureau says there's a chance a cyclone could develop in the Gulf of Carpentaria later this week. Reporter Lillian Rangier joins us. Lil, how likely are we to see a cyclone in the coming days?
Well, Bella, the clouds are rolling in over the sunset behind me and we'll at least see some rainfall later this week. Basically, there's a weak low developing from tomorrow over the top end, which will head up towards the Gulf of Carpentaria. When that happens, at least on Friday and Saturday, there's a 30% chance, so 1 in 3, that it could turn into a cyclone. I asked Rebecca Patrick from the Bureau of Meteorology what would happen if it does, and she said one of 2 things.
At this stage, it's unknown whether that system will then move back southwards towards the Territory or move towards Queensland. So that's still something we'll be keeping an eye on.
And we've just had a period of flooding. Lil, is there any chance river catchments will fill again?
Well, Bella, the Bureau says it's too early to know exactly what the system's going to do, so it's too early to issue a flood watch or a flood warning. But there is a slow-moving trough over the Northern Territory, and the monsoon is expected to strengthen this week, meaning we will see widespread showers and potentially some heavy rainfall. So the Bureau is urging motorists to take care on the roads. And Bella, not even Central Australia is immune from the rain this week, with some showers forecast in Alice Springs tomorrow. So, in conclusion, pack an umbrella.
Thanks, Lil. Some of Hollywood's biggest stars have descended on the Gold Coast to celebrate the nation's cinema and television awards. A horror film by two YouTubers took out 8 actor awards, while homegrown talent Margot Robbie received the Trailblazer Award for her body of work.
Glitz and glamour galore on the Gold Coast. Celebrated stars and up-and-comers alike honoured at the actors.
Our amazing cast, our amazing crew were able to do it our way, the Aussie way, and it was the best decision we ever made. So everyone, let's keep working together, helping each other.
Horror flick Talk to Me took home 8 awards, including Best Film and Best Screenplay. Emotions were high for one of its stars, who won Best Lead Actress.
I don't think that I can do what I do without the kind of hard work and passion and artistry of every single person who works on a project.
First-time actor Aswan Reid won Best Lead Actor for The New Boy at just 11 years old. On the small screen, the ABC's The Newsreader took out Best Drama Series. Its star won Best Lead Actress in a Drama.
This is really special because I actually graduated high school in this auditorium.
Book adaptation The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart walked away with 4 gongs.
This is the series' 12th nomination.
But all night there was just one name on everyone's lips. Even Cate Blanchett's Barbie-worthy outfit couldn't upstage the woman of the moment.
To one of my and everyone's favourite performers and people, Margot Robbie.
The Hollywood star won the prestigious Actor Trailblazer Award, as well as the International Award for Best Lead Actress in Film for her role as Barbie.
To be here on the Gold Coast receiving this tonight, knowing that all my wildest dreams really did come true, is unbelievably special to me, and I cannot thank you enough, actors, for giving me this moment.
A Gold Coast girl at heart with a passion for local film and television.
But the biggest reward for me is having the privilege to blaze a trail for others to traverse.
Julia Andre, ABC News, Gold Coast.
A former military general accused of human rights abuses and the fatal kidnapping of activists is poised to become Indonesia's next president. 72-year-old Prabowo Subianto is the clear frontrunner for the presidential election taking place on Wednesday. More than 2 decades on from his alleged crimes, the perennial candidate is riding a wave of youthful support as 200 million people prepare to vote.
On a hot afternoon in the city of Semarang, Prabowo Subianto is working the crowds. No stranger to election rallies across this archipelago nation, Prabowo, as he's known, is in his 4th straight campaign.
Almost every poll says that we're going to win in one round. But let's not be careless. Let's not be complacent.
This time around, he's reinvented himself to tone down the strongman image that failed to propel him to victory in past elections.
Political elites in Jakarta often scold me for being rude when I talk. I'm a former soldier. This is just the way I am. I don't do sweet talk. I don't talk in circles.
Straight talking, which seems to have won the support of many young voters this time around.
Prabowo is firm, honest, wise.
Prabowo is extraordinary. He has diligently and consistently run for president, despite having failed a few times.
Many weren't even born during the most infamous period of Prabowo Subianto's past. In 1998, as the regime of Indonesia's autocratic leader Suharto was crumbling, the special forces, then under Prabowo's command, kidnapped and tortured 22 activists. 9 survived and returned, 13 were never seen again.
My son was very active. He didn't want to see injustice happening before his eyes.
Payun's son Utok is among the 13 activists who were never found.
Because it's been 25 years, I just want legal certainty on what happened and the whereabouts of my son.
Prabowo Subianto has made comments over the years acknowledging involvement in the kidnappings of the 9 who survived. He said circumstances were different and he was defending the nation, but he's now more dismissive.
They accuse me of doing this and that, a coup plot, abducting activists, killing them, etc. Well, what can I say, huh? This is democracy. If people believe those accusations, simply don't vote for me.
He's never admitted or been directly linked to the missing 13 and their presumed killings. He was, however, dishonourably sacked from the military for his tactics.
Whatever happened back then, Prabowo should not be president. Once he's in that role, our search for answers will be over. There's no more hope to fight.
Payan and the families of the other victims, for now, maintain their search for answers. Monthly protests outside the presidential palace calling for these decade-old cases to be properly investigated. Despite promises to address human rights cases, outgoing President Joko Widodo has made little progress in 10 years. Now his son Gibran is Prabowo Subianto's pick for vice president. The youthful running mate is helping recast the former soldier's image to a new generation with a cute and cuddly style.
It's not position that I'm after, it's not rank that I seek. I just want to see the people prosper.
If Prabowo Subianto can win at least 50% of the vote, then this tilt at the top job will be third time lucky for him. If his 2 rivals combined can prevent him winning a majority, then he'll have to go to a runoff in June.
Prabowo and his team are desperate to avoid a longer campaign for a runoff poll. And they're increasingly confident they'll seal the victory in one go this week. Bill Birtles, ABC News, Semarang, Central Java.
Pakistan has been plunged into even deeper political turmoil with allegations of vote rigging and uncertainty over which party can form government. Despite a military crackdown, the party of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan has claimed the most seats, but his supporters fear they may be barred from forming a coalition.
Anger outside Pakistan's election commission in Karachi. Supporters of Imran Khan's PTI party say they fear their election wins are being snatched away.
We will fight for our rights as we have done in the past. We will protest peacefully and then we will fight a legal battle.
Their candidates, forced to run as independents, won more seats than any other party. But their leader remains behind bars, and some fear they may not be allowed to form government.
They have stolen our mandate. We are going to have to get stay orders from the courts.
Anger too from the Islamist party TLP. Its supporters joining the chorus condemning the voting irregularities. They also fear more vote tampering while the ballot count is delayed. Thursday's elections were marred by violence, a nationwide mobile phone shutdown, and accusations of rigging. But the Commonwealth Election Observers Group is not ready to declare the poll unfair.
For us to make a comment that elections are not transparent, we must be very sure of our facts. And we're still looking into these facts.
Both Imran Khan and his main rival Nawaz Sharif claimed victory on Friday, despite Sharif's party seat count way behind. The chair of Khan's party believes they can find coalition partners to form government.
So we will decide in due course which party we are going to join and how we are going to proceeding. We trust every institution. We are just asking them to respect this mandate of the public. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less.
Trust and hope in a time of upheaval and multiple challenges for a country of 241 million people. Meghna Bali, ABC News.
Billions of people around the world have gathered to ring in the Lunar New Year and usher in the Year of the Dragon. Revellers filled the streets of Hong Kong for parades and colourful dances, the first celebrations since pandemic restrictions were lifted. In mainland China, travel numbers are expected to reach historic levels, with hopes the annual rush will give a boost to the economy. Lunar New Year festivities will continue for the next 2 weeks. Australia's largest producer of organic meat, Hewitt, covers 2 million hectares of the Northern Territory. But behind the vast operation are two brothers who grew up as wild bush kids and are on a mission to be the world's most sustainable producers.
Here in the red centre of Australia is the largest organically certified land parcel in the world. Consisting of 4 cattle stations, the Hewitt Empire boasts 200,000 head of livestock across more than 2.2 million hectares.
We just grew up, as wild bush kids.
It's a far cry from the small family cattle operation they started with, and it took a less conventional route to get here.
The traditional debt-funded family model didn't seem to be really the route, and that's really what we did. And we as a result of that, we then went and had a look around for strategic partners to help us invest, and really the rest is history.
In 2015, they partnered with Canada's Public Sector Pension Investment Board, who manage a superannuation of the country's government workers, like the Mounted Police and Army.
We were one of the first, if not the first platform that established that way in Australia, really that private and institutional wealth partnering.
With a focus on organic production, Central Australia has been an ideal match.
Organically, or naturally, very fertile soils, with a lower rainfall, there's no pests.
It also fits their philosophy of sustainability first, looking after the land so it looks after them.
Ensuring you're, producing the most amount of kilos of protein for the least amount of impact.
Big dreams in big country. Christy O'Brien, ABC News, Nawituma Station.
Australian borrowers struggling with rising interest rates look set for some relief in 2024, but those looking to get into the market, there's little to look forward to. As the ABC's Alan Kohler explains, the affordability crisis is really starting to bite in cities you may not expect.
You're probably aware that house prices went up again last year, even though interest rates kept rising as well. And you won't be surprised to learn, of course, that this made houses less affordable. The house price to income ratio kicked back up to 7.5. But there are a couple of things that might surprise you. Adelaide became the second least affordable Australian city last year. And despite rising prices and crushing interest rates, first home buyers were the fastest growing type of borrower.
Here's affordability by city. Sydney's way out in front, of course, as the least affordable Australian city. Is one of the least affordable in the world. But Adelaide has just taken over from Hobart in second place. Hobart, I hear you say? And Adelaide? What about Melbourne? Well, this graph is dwelling value to local income. And the average income in each city is different. Adelaide's median house price is 7.9 times local average income. And when it comes to rent, Adelaide is actually number 1, the worst place in the nation to be a tenant. What's going on? Well, put simply, incomes in Adelaide, Hobart and Brisbane are not keeping up with house prices, which are being pushed up by fast rising population and by first home buyers. Loans to them surged 21% last year to be the fastest growing category of buyer. They now represent almost 30% of borrowers.
So what's going on with that? Well, that's simple too. The back of mum and dad coughing up early inheritances and politicians showering them with grants and concessions, desperate to appear to be doing something about affordability while actually making it worse. When my wife and I bought our first house in 1980, the average house price was 3.5 times average incomes. Now it's 7.5 times and rising. That didn't have to happen. It's Australia's worst economic mistake.
Australian sporting history may be made tomorrow, with Mitch Wishnowsky bidding to become the first Aussie to play in and win a Super Bowl. The West Australian punter will line up for the San Francisco 49ers against the Kansas City Chiefs in one of the glitziest NFL finales ever.
Mitch Wishnowsky has already made a splash in the NFL.
And Wishnowsky had to take it. He might get it. Wishnowsky's going to run for the first down and more.
But come tomorrow, the former Perth tradie may have etched his name into Australian sporting folklore.
Those guys are doing it.
For the second time in 4 years, the 31-year-old punter for the San Francisco 49ers will take on the Kansas City Chiefs in the grandest show in American sport. And this time, he wants to leave with a history-making triumph.
It would be cool to sort of, be the first Australian and, hopefully, inspire people back in Australia.
He sold his house to move to Melbourne to fund his time in America initially, so credit to him for giving it everything that he had.
Wishnowsky's quest for immortality takes place on a Super Bowl stage like no other. Las Vegas hosts the 58th edition of the NFL's championship game, with the Kansas City Chiefs looking to go back-to-back and win it for the third time in 5 years. Usher will be headlining the famous halftime show. But another musical megastar in Taylor Swift will garner most of the attention ahead of her Australian tour, with her boyfriend Travis Kelce looking for another Super Bowl victory with the Chiefs.
We love to shine light on others, shine light around the people that help and support us. And on top of that, I feel like we both have just a love for life.
But it's the 49ers and their Aussie punter who may just ruin that American fairy tale. Daniel Garb, ABC News.
Australia has thrashed South Africa to 110 runs in a rain-affected women's one-day international at North Sydney Oval. The visitors were chasing a revised target of 238 from 31 overs, but were all out for 127. Leg spinner Alana King took 4 for 26. Australia will win the multi-format series outright if it has a draw or a win in the Test match later this week.
To be able to flick to another format is hopefully becoming more adaptable and easier to do, but I think it is still a challenge when you're going across 3 formats with pretty much the same squad.
The Australian women's basketball team has beaten Germany to qualify for the Paris Olympics, but will be going without star player Lauren Jackson. Opal's captain Tess Madgen led by example with 15 points and 6 rebounds. The 85-52 point victory and last Friday's win over Brazil means the team has booked its spot for Paris. After the game, Opal's great Jackson said she won't be taking part in a 5th Olympic campaign.
Lauren, congratulations. 1 more Olympic Games. Yes? No? Oh, no. For us.
No, I'm done. How fitting that I get to finish my national career with Australia in Brazil. So it's very special.
Time for the weather now, and tonight's viewer photo was sent in by Kevin Kluken at Nightcliff Beach. Scattered showers across the territory today, with storms developing in the afternoon. It reached 31 in Darwin today, 31 also in Jabiru, and 34 on the Tiwis. Zooming out, 30 degrees the high in Katherine, 33 in Nhulunbuy, and 35 in Borroloola. Tennant Creek reached 34 degrees, and Alice Springs saw a top of 37. On the satellite, the southwest of the country is relatively cloud-free, while scattered storm clouds are developing across the north and into New South Wales. A trough extends across northern Australia, and another trough will develop over WA and South Australia tomorrow. Around the country tomorrow, Brisbane raining and 29, Sydney partly cloudy, 29, 30 in Canberra, sunny and 35 in Melbourne, Hobart 27, Adelaide sunny, 38, and Perth 34. Around the territory tomorrow, Alice Springs to reach 37 degrees, 35 in Tennant Creek, further north 33 the high in Katherine, 31 in Nhulunbuy, and in the west Darwin to hit 31, 32 in Jabiru and 31 in Wadeye. The afternoon low tide will be at 1:20 28 tomorrow, and winds will reach up to 15 knots off Darwin. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:44 and set at 7:18 p.m. And looking at the week to come, a rainy week in Darwin as the monsoon redevelops, and in Alice Springs, the slight chance of a shower or storm tomorrow before daytime temperatures return to the high 30s during the week. And that's ABC News for this Sunday. Thanks for your company. Good night.